Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening, and welcome. It was revealed this week that under Labour, the number of houses built has fallen, and the number of houses built that have fallen has risen.
That's enough of that. Good evening and welcome. There you go. God blimey. Karen Evans, first in the house this evening.
What time do you get in? 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock, Sue said. Good evening, Paul Cocker. Good evening, Karen Christopher. Jay Brooker. How's everybody? Good, thanks, Jay Brooker. Oops, all well, mate. Okay, thanks, Chris. Struggling in this heat outside all day. Can't imagine the dogs are loving it. No, they're not. They're not loving it. Jay, Dougie was looking good from that video. I saw it today. He's certainly looking like it. Chris might just be getting it. That's a subject we need to talk about in a minute, everybody. I'm sorry about my t-shirt. I've had my tea and I've got it spilt on my top there, so I'll have to put up with that this evening. Let the side down. I'm looking scruffy, so I've just dropped the so you can't see me pecs. Okay. So good evening to all of you. Just waiting for a few people to come in. We've got 17 people in. We've got 3 likes already. Obviously, you like David Frost. Oh Lord, what's he done? What's he done? Oh Lord, what's he done? Good evening, Denver. Good evening, Gavin. Good evening, Michael. Okay, so Jay, Dougie, what can we say? That was 3 minutes of edited video because that was the only 3 minutes I could get out of him in 16 that were any good. Plus the fact every time I got up off the blinking placeboard, my arse was hanging out with my underpants showing. So I've had to edit it. But tomorrow I will actually put up as much of the video as possible, as long as you're not seeing my bottom, because I get enough complaints. And I didn't realize the way the camera was angled as I got up, you could see my bottom. Let's talk about Wild Justice trying to shut down the shooting industry and their latest statements. Do you know what? Everybody's trying to get on everybody's back, aren't they? For everything and anything at the moment. The world's gone freaking mental, isn't it? The world's gone mental. What do you want to talk about? You tell me. It's your questions and answers. I'm just here to answer them with my opinion. The camera keeps flickering on and off. Does it, Susan? Or is it just his house?
It must be just.
Could everybody else tell me, is the camera flicking on and off? I'm not looking as fresh as I normally am. Vets bills? We could talk about vets bills.
Karen says camera's fine.
The camera's fine. Anyway, so let's read. Let's just start off. Let's just start off with this, shall we? Someone sent me this on my Facebook, and I thought it was lovely. And I don't know if you're on my Facebook, you lot. It said, I just wanted to let you know that your ideas of gameplay have been invaluable, and I have to rethink how I train my current puppy, Mog. Bloody cocker. Long short of it, Mog had some serious nervousness and fear issues initially and used to shut down in new areas, or he saw heard a person anyway nearby. So it's incredibly challenging to train. Teaching anything outside the house garden because he's so fearful. Very frustrating for some reason. Your YouTube videos came up online fairly soon after I got him, and I started watching them out of interest to see whether I could pick up anything from them. I decided just to focus on getting him to play retrieve. After 3 months, he started to come around. He ran away far less and started actually wanting to play. He is now vastly improved, although I'm sure whether he will ever make it as a working dog, as the fear and nervousness still persist in different scenarios, and he loses his drive. but just wanted to say the gameplay focus rather than training teaching has helped him and massively, and he has learned to enjoy playing, to focus on me rather than everything around him, and generally pleased with the change. He's 7.5 months old now and will hunt keenly for retrieving long grass. He just learned to sit on his own accord before I throw the ball. He's learning through playing and fun. I would persevere with him, as even if he never works, he will be at least a happier dog. So thank you for putting up your videos and giving me giving insight into simply different method, and that has helped me and my puppy. That's what this is all about, everybody. That's why I stand up and fight for what I believe in, because of people who send me comments like that when they see results. This dog's only 7.5 months old. Wait till it's 12 months old, and then you start giving a little bit of discipline. It'll even want to be with you more. Why? Because you've not suppressed it from the start. You've got a nervous dog, you let it come out of itself through gameplay, and then when you put in your training and you put in your discipline, the dog will look at you as a leader and stay with you. The security with you, the dog will trust even more. So it's only a young dog. Give it, and don't start putting discipline into it until it's 12 months of age, and then you'll get a better dog. How about that? Okay, good news and bad news. Do you want the good news or the bad news first? Did you all see the Harley Quinn video I put up this week? Did you see the Harley Quinn video? I put up a Harley Quinn video, and I've shared it on Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon.
Yes.
So you saw that, right? You know what my job is, don't you? My job is training dogs, getting them to a good standard, selling them on. And in life, when somebody comes along and makes you an offer you can't refuse, you have to sell him. Anything is for sale in the kennel. And even Sue, but you don't get a guarantee with Sue. And someone came along and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So Harley Quinn is being picked up tomorrow. I'm sorry to say, but it's business, and you can't get too emotional over these things. Oh no, there we go, Robert Jeffrey. Oh no, this is the problem. See, when you're a full-time motorcycle rider like myself, I can't afford to let sentiment get in the way of business. Business got to come first. Paul Jarvis, you're a creep. Simple as that, Paul Jarvis. Anyone saw Paul Jarvis's comment? He's a bloody creep.
I like Paul.
Sue likes Paul. So sell Sue and keep Harley. Yeah, and Michael.
Don't like Michael.
Michael, good, sensible Irish man.
Don't like him.
Okay, Denver said something to us here. Got goosebumps last night. Took my lead-burn dog out just for a run around, and it's a mess. She got onto a line and flushed two pigeons. I said sit, and she washed them away. Look at that. I have never encouraged her to hunt with her. There you go. Tapping into the natural ability of the dog, not suppressing it. How about that then? That's what you want, isn't it? So, unfortunately, but I am so busy at the moment, I've got so many dogs to train as well. Going back to Jay's dog, like I said, I will put up the video for Patreon customers. But like I said, if you'd watch the video all the way through, what did it say? All that glitters is not gold. Do I see an improvement in him? Yes. It's hard work. It's hard work. And as a professional dog trainer, you've got to be honest with people. Good morning, evening, William, right? You've got to be honest with people. And yes, it's my job to get the best out of the dog, but I can only work with the material I've got. And especially in this heat, he lasts about 5 minutes, and then he wants to just sit down by my side or go and hide under a tree. And I don't blame him. Anybody going out in this weather training gun dogs, unless it's early morning or really late evening, and we've just come in from outside 8 o'clock or just 5 minutes ago, and it's very, very warm out there still. You're wasting your time training dogs in this heat. You can kill them during the day. I've done absolutely nothing with my dogs for the last couple of days. It's been far too warm. Exactly, Karen. Well done. And anybody who's taking their dogs for walks and thinking they're doing the dogs any justice at the moment, you're wasting your time. You might as well rest them up, and they can rest up until it gets cooler. Exactly. And there's nothing better than a rest for that dog at this point, right? Good evening, Andrew. Denver Skinner. I also done no training. Exactly. And so on days like today, I managed to get some videos up. Because I'm not out there. Peter Piper in the house. Good evening. Chris, I don't know if it's the weather or my dog's age, but you now started to roll in anything dead, even dead flies in the house. No idea. I don't have dogs in the house. I can't tell you on that one. I wouldn't know anything about that one. So let's okay, what I want you to do, I want you to tell me if you've been to a good dog trainer who's give you good advice and you thought to yourself, yes, I really pleased about the money that I paid him for what the advice they gave me. I'd like you to actually name the dog trainer. If you've gone to somebody, you've been really pleased with them, and you think you got value for money. Let's see how many people on here who have been to other dog trainers or dog trainers and can turn around and say, yes, I got value for money. I got somewhere with my dog and it was worth it. It's quite important at the moment because a chap called Chris Upton. I didn't do this just to get my name up there, but I appreciate that if that's the case, if you felt that you got value for money. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter whether you're pet people on here or whether you're gun dog people. At the end of the day, I try and get the best out of everybody who comes here. Adrian Slater, there you go. So there you go. It's nice when people can promote somebody and say that person gave me a lesson and I enjoyed it and it was worth the money. We're not asking how much you paid. We're not getting to the personal day. I just want to know. I'd like to see a list of people on here. I know Adrian Slater, good dog trainer. I took mine for a short walk tonight. Oh, that's a walk. Right, I walked down the river and just let him swim. Did some water with trees, and he came home. There you go, Adam. Yeah, I haven't been to anyone else, to be fair, other than a puppy class, and we was better than every dog in there. Exactly. Yeah, puppy classes. I wouldn't recommend puppy classes. So it's funny, isn't it? We got 37 people in, and you've got one name. One name. Well, two, including myself. Now, isn't it sad?
It's 4 now.
Why is that? Christopher. Darren Skidmore. Okay. Annie in Openshaw. Okay, lovely. Great. So this is good. That if you were happy with the advice they gave you and you came away and you learned something, that's important to me, because at the end of the day, I wish I could find someone in Yorkshire, but they all seem to be puppy classes or church or classes. I think you mean Adrian Slater, not Adrian Skater. Do these other trainers not promote their work on the internet? Some of them do. At the end of the day, the reason I asked that question is I was listening to a live feed today, and I listened to it the other day, and they were talking about, is there any decent dog trainers in England? Name decent dog trainers in England. Well, if you're not in those circles and you don't know those people, I know all those people have been recommended. Why? Because some of them are film stars. At the end of the day, some of them have been in the game for a while, and us dog trainers know each other. We know if we get good feedback or poor feedback from these trainers, from people who come to us. And it's not my job to name trainers that people aren't happy with, who they've been to, and they don't think they've had value for money. But I can tell you one thing: if you go to Ian Openshaw and you're not got of a reasonable standard, then he's going to tell you, and you might not go back because you feel belittled a little bit. But what would you rather have? Honesty? Would you rather have a straight, blunt talking person, or would you rather be, oh, lovely dog, bring it again, see you next week, and then when you turn up next week and you haven't done the homework or you haven't done the work, you think he's going to say, well done, let's go out again and do it all over again. At the end of the day, some of the film stars don't need to earn the money like that, and yet they do take on people. But if you're interested and you try, then they'll make an effort for you. If you're not really interested, or you think you know it all, or you're telling them how wonderful your dog was and why it won an award the other day, and they're looking at it going, there's no way that should win an award, they'll tell you. It's as simple as that. I take the honesty every day of the week. Honesty always with me. So the reason that I've said this is, then I put something else onto my Facebook this evening, and this is, I think, is interesting because Karen actually commented on this. This come off a Labrador forum about Labrador training, and there was 39 comments on it, and I've taken the lady's name off because I'm not here to cause trouble. I really need help with Keeler, I think Kayla, and for insistent barking. We have now had complaints made to the council. Wish neighbours could have come to the door. Kayla is a rescue dog. Rescue. They jumped into a lake, swam across it, and saved it from a fire. The house was burning down. Rescue dog. We got her just a year ago. She was unloved. How do you know she was unloved? Skinny and scared. We have built her up, showered her with love and affection, walk her loads, play with her, but she seems so scared of every noise. She barks and barks. It's now to the point where I keep her inside and close the door. Not good on hot days. I've tried all the tricks, offering treats, using the quiet command, etc., but she doesn't listen. It's getting to cause arguments now in home. Hubby is like, she needs to stop this now. I'm like, yeah, no shit. She needs to stop. But what else can I do? I think she needs calming medication or something. She is so highly strung, but not when she is out walking, only when she is at home. Any help would be great. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Paul Jarvis saw it.
Well done, Robert. Well done, Robert. Bonker required. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you know what? You have to stop. And what did Karen say? Karen made a good comment. What did Karen say? Explanation in the post. Showered her with love and affection like a fur baby. Can you say now the dog sleeps in her bed and gets tucked in at night, probably checked in twice in the night, and gets whatever the fuck it wants for breakfast. And I said, yes, Karen, you need to stop unwanted behavior, not pamper it. Now, she's on these forums, and you should see, if you want to laugh, you should go back, and I haven't put a name there because I don't want people going on there and kicking off. What I'm saying is, you should see the crap that they're giving the advice out there. They're saying, go to the vet. They're saying, give it this Harmony spray and let it wear a bandana and spray it on the bandana so the dog wears it around its mouth and it will calm it down. Don't reward it for barking by giving it treats, etc. Exactly. You don't reward an unwanted behavior. There you go. Forms are deadly. Some of the shit I read, I think, wow. This is the problem with the dog training world. But as soon as you stand up like myself and start to give your opinion to try and help people out there, a full English breakfast in the morning, please. That's what the dog needs, a full English, right? At the end of the day, it's crazy how people become so triggered when you give advice. So I don't give advice on these dog forums. I just copied it and put it up there to talk about it tonight. About that is exactly why the dog world is in such a mess. Train it properly, not drug it. Fix quick fix doesn't fix. Exactly, you're right. You have to take your time and train it. And I cannot take a dog in for a week. I can change the mindset in the dog in a week, and it may look wonderful, but when it goes back, it's going to go back to its original behavior very, very quick. because no one is enforcing that behavior, or it hasn't been taken out with repetition. There'll be a consequence if you don't listen. You are having a laugh. Banana. Bandana. Oh, banana. See, even my wife's laughing at me because I'm dyslexic. I just saw Bananarama. So what I'm saying is, we go back to that same situation with the little cocker. Good evening, Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor, good evening. I've already explained about a little dog that's leaving us called Harley Quinn.
He has a little psycho coming.
What just Sue said. He might not turn up tomorrow now. Train the trainer, not the dog. Yes, you're right, Gavin. Train the trainer, not the dog. Now, the thing is this. If you put the training into the dog at 6 months of age and it's sitting, staying, doing lefts and doing rights, going out on a straight line, it may look lovely, but the wheels will fall off, because when you start to go into advanced training, the dog will get, I'm not listening to that. This is more exciting than that. You've got to build the foundation up slowly. You've got to build that foundation and make it strong. So you start off with your retrieving. Where's your fine example about dogs that don't want to retrieve? Dougie. Where's your fine example about dogs that have taken over, that have had nothing but too much love? Darcy. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. Sorry, I got messages coming all at the top from other people from all over the place. This is what's happening. He's going to go to a good home. You have seen the new kennel. He's got a lovely kennel. Unbelievable, everyone. You should see Peter's kennel. You should see Peter's kennel. I'll tell you. Stunning. Absolute stunning. He won't know where he is. You think it's a penthouse suite. And one of the things that Peter said to me, he said, when you're going to take Harley back tomorrow, he said he'll stop off and put him on the lead and let him out for a pee or a poo, right? For a break, and give him a drink. And I said, you've got a 5-hour trip. I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just drive straight back and not stop. Now, some people would say, you can't do that with a dog for 5 hours. Yes, you can. As long as you're not getting stuck in traffic. As long as you're not stuck in traffic and it's nice and cool in the van. As simple as that. So there's the person. Peter is the guy who's bought Harley. It's going to be lovely to see the progress of Harley. And Peter's on Patreon as well. And he'll be able to send us videos if he wants to. And we'll be able to keep that story going for you, because I've set a foundation into the dog. And what you've got to understand is, if Peter put a lead on Harley Quinn, who's never even, I think he may have had a long line and run with a long line on, but I've never chastised him on a long line or trained him to lead walk. And you could say, well, why is Peter buying a dog that's never been trained on the long line or lead walk? Because I've never needed to, because I've got a social bond with the dog and he wants to be with me. And I want Peter to have exactly the same when he gets that dog home. So when he gets the dog home, he's got to let that dog settle in. And so he's got the kennel. He's got a paved garden. You should see it. It's like an emperor's palace. And he can put the dog in there and get a bond with the dog. Once the dog's got a bond with him there, then he can start copying what I do on the videos, and the dog will treat him exactly the same as the dog treats me. He will see him as a leader, and he will push boundaries in certain areas. But if he puts a short lead on that dog, and that dog hits the end of that lead, that dog's going to panic instantly. What's that going to create? Fear before he's even started. So it's important that you people understand that when I say I don't put a lead on a dog until they're, 9, 10, 11 months old sometimes, right? It's because when I do put the lead on the dog, I give them a long line, and I give them a choice to pull and bronk like a bucking mule. And they learn to switch off the pressure themselves, and they learn very, very quick to turn off the pressure. They realize instantly, a long, tight line, they've got to switch off the pressure themselves. And he'll find that when he does that, and it doesn't matter if he does it in 2 weeks after he's had the dog, he could do that. The dog's not going to fear him terrible. And he could put the stop on the dog straight away if he wanted to. But what the dog is doing, he wants to be with me. He loves playing the game. The first week, I'm just going to bond with him in the kennel and the yard. Exactly, Peter. Then you won't put any fear into him, because I keep saying to you all, dogs, when they're very, very young, are sponges. Anything you give them, whether it's fun, whether it's fear, that can be implanted on their brain for the rest of their lives, because they're like sponges. They soak it up. So if I went in the kennel and the dogs were barking as the youngsters and I slapping them around and saying be quiet or throwing water at them at a very, very young age, they would implant fear into those dogs, and that's what we don't want to do. But now the dog's 6.5 months, Peter is getting closer and closer to the day he wants to go, right, I don't need the dog to be as driven as Chris likes. I'll put the stop on the dog now because he's got plenty of drive and he's now showing me what I want. But for the first month, I would stick to the way I train the dog, because that's how I've trained the dog for the period of time he's been here. That's why it's so important. Dogs will soon adapt. They will, but you can put a fear into a dog. If I had a dog come here and instantly I use discipline on the dog and it's a young dog, I guarantee I'm going to knock the dog back, whether it's drive, whether it's confidence, because you've got to let that dog know everything is fun based. You want to play the game of fun, we'll get on like a house on fire. And I do that so much. Where I can step in and give discipline is when the dog is over 12 months of age and I've got to go, okay, this dog's now taking the mickey. I now show some discipline. I can show that discipline because he's not had discipline because he's taking the mickey or they've not given the correct discipline. When I step up and give that discipline, that dog goes, you the boss. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. Then we go back to fun-based training. And that's why 100% make the dog want to be with you. That's why it's so important. And yet, I've seen somebody who's been following me for 10, 15 years and has made some lovely comments about me, training their spaniel on Facebook the other day. And he's got it on a place board from, I think, 12 weeks of age. And he's saying it's fantastic. It's such a quick learner. I guarantee that dog, the chances of it going down the road later on because he's overcooked it, or the dog gets so confused. This is the problem you have if you rush these dogs. And yet, look at the 2-year-old cocker that's here. She's been loved. She's highly sought after. I asked him if they wanted to sell her. Just to see, no way would we sell that dog under no circumstances. At the end of the day, I live in the real world, and if someone comes along and makes me an offer I can't refuse, that's why it's called Corleone Gundogs. It's a mafia thing, isn't it? It's the Godfather. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And he ended up with a horse's head in his bed. Remember? He actually asked him to put him in the film, and he said, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. But he refused it, and he ended up with a horse's head in his bed. So there you go. Who said punishment doesn't work? He then got the job. He got the acting job. And it's a bloody good horse as well. And Peter Taylor will understand that, being a horsey man. So, what else can we talk about? Good luck with Harley, Peter. You're a lucky boy. Wouldn't it be nice if Peter gave you the reason why he thought, yes, I want that dog? Wouldn't it be nice if Peter could just give an opinion why he thought, yes, I want that dog? Now, I do know that Peter's friend had a bitch from the same mating, Alan Chadwick's mating, and I do know that he's happy with that dog as well. And I do know that, well, Peter's told me that. So I just wonder what made Peter go, yes, I want that dog. I wonder. 6.5 months old, never been on a lead, hasn't got the stop on him. Well, you've all gone quiet. You've all left the auditorium, see? You're all thinking.
46 people in the house and only 11 thumbs up. Never mind. That's the way it goes, isn't it? So what would you like to talk about? Black Lives Matter? What? £500 discuss? What the hell does that mean? Andy Morrison. Evening, everybody. Good evening to you. So there we go. I'm stuck for waffling. I tell you what, I do listen to a little bit. The comedian who did Animals. What's his name again? Drive, Desire, and Focus. What's his name again? You don't like him, Sue. What's his name? Ricky Jeeves?
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. He does live feeds. He comes on and does videos and leaves the live feeds, does videos. I tell you what, he ain't nowhere near as funny as when obviously he does a scripted something. And I just listen to him some nights and I just switch off. I think to myself, you're bloody boring actually in reality. And yet I think he's quite a comedian when it went on television. That's your breeding. No, I don't know. I don't know, Gavin, because the dog on the top side is an outcross. Yes, goes back to my breeding, but there is an outcross. And on the bitch side was Alan Chadwick's breeding. That's not strong breeding in Harley's pedigree, but Harley was an exceptional bitch, a very high drive driven bitch that was exceptional. That's what made me go for. I actually went for it because I saw the picture of it, and he had a black head, and I wanted a black and white dog back in on my lines. But we've already discussed that with Peter, that I might use the dog at stud if he does a good job. There you go. My friend's got a sister, and she is doing really well with loads of drive and lovely dog. I wanted one same as an Harlequin, was just like his sister. There you go. Do good trial dogs make good working dogs with the same with them staying a lot closer to the handler? That is not always great in the working field. You'll find dog photographer that they'll open up. You know, you see my dogs hunting and they're tight before they really know what the game is. But once they know what the game is, they will open up and take in double the distance, and you've got no problem. Trust me. You don't want a dog hunting out of gunshot, even if it's in a beating line and you're not carrying a gun. You do not want that dog hunting too far out. But I don't want a dog, you know, what we call polish your boots. I'm not looking for that. Yeah, not to say it was Carlos. Harley is very like Wiz, looking and likes black-headed, looks and likes black-headed dogs. I do, and there's no faults with him, but he's been allowed to be not a rebel, but he's allowed to show his true character by not suppressing him, and that's the important thing. You're seeing the true character of the little dog by not suppressing him. And yes, he's not got that obedience into him, but that's so easy to put obedience into a dog. At the right age, they soak it up very, very quickly. Now, can you train a dog to 6 months old to a very good standard? Yes, you can. And I've done it. At 6 months old, I've had dogs that people in trial competition and test dogs would look silly against this 6 month old dog. But you've made it under reliant. You've taken all away the natural ability and changed the dog's mindset. You don't get a dog that wants to please you. You get a dog doing it because you've conditioned it to do it. Can you train a dog with love and affection alone? No, you can't. There comes a point where you've got to use discipline. As soon as you put lead on, you're using discipline. You're suppressing the dog, right? And then how many dogs pull? How many dogs do you know that have real problems on leads because they've allowed the dog to pull from the start? They build it up, and that's what you get. You get a dog pulling. Yet, can you stop that behavior straight away? Yes. But do you suppress the dog straight away? Yes. You take the drive. The human influence takes over from what you would have really seen if you'd allowed that dog to go a little bit wild. That's the biggest thing. Biggest issue in the country for most. What's that then, Karen? Tell me. Biggest issue in the country for most. Pulling dogs on leads. Pet dogs, working dogs. Yeah. Or they've taken the drive off the dog because it's an obedience trained dog and it's got no it's just got no sparkle. You see that in them pulling on lead, yeah. So you see dogs with no sparkle, eyes glazed, and not really interested in the job. You know, I didn't train with Ivan Balanov. I've watched some of his videos, of his early videos going back 10, 15 years, when he was being promoted as a trainer from a company that wanted him to do what they wanted him to do. He did it, but he wasn't particularly happy. Now he's putting out his own videos out there. I think it's important that you listen to someone of his expertise from a completely different field, where he says, don't rush the dogs, you know. And Michael Ellis says the same thing. You might as well just go into a kennel and just pick one randomly. Well, I don't. I go in the kennel and go, I'll pick that one for good looks. It's got a nice head on it, or it's got a nice body markings that I like, because it's hot luck. There's nobody in this country who can go and pick a pup at 8 weeks old and go, that's going to make a champion. There's people in this country who can take the dog to that level and make it into a champion, connections they've and their skill. But there is nobody who can go, I'm going to make that dog into a champion. Someone said the other day on the Patreon site about Karen, that boy's going to win the championship. I wasn't being rude when I said, he said, I bet £10 he's going to win the championship. I said, I bet you £10 he doesn't. To win the championship is a very, very difficult job. It's a very, very difficult job. But I think they did give you 5 years, Karen, to win it. So I might be handing over a tenner. And I said, I bet he doesn't. Why? Because the percentages are you won't. It's simple as that. He's keen. You're keen. Karen's keen. He's got his dogs to a nice standard. You can see he's keen, but at the end of the day, there's more than just keenness, and there's more than just an average standard or a good standard. You have to go to that next level up. It won't be happening in 5 years. You never know, do you? But it's something to aim at, Karen. I like a man he likes to set out challenges. And like I said, I wasn't being rude in the slightest. I was just saying that one day I'll be there at competition to win. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. You want to be there. You want to have a go at it. That's the way to do it. There's no point just sitting back and talking about it if you've never tried it. You've got to get out there and try it, and then you'll realize how difficult it is. And it's a funny old thing how some people seem to win the championship on a regular basis, where others don't seem to get a look in. And there is some good dog trainers out there, but it's all to do with a number of issues, and we won't go into them too much on here. Karen, prove the big man wrong. There you go. I like a challenge, he says. Go for it. It's a tenner. I'm a gambling man. Anybody want to put money on it? Anybody want to put a pot in for Karen, and we'll do a crowdfunding, and let's see if we can push him all the way? Chris Upton gets the pot if he doesn't do it. Come on. Is the championship in case of who you know? And no, not always, but sometimes. And the politics of it. As soon as I mention the politics of it, I get another 58 mail, another 50 people sending me 8 mail. So just let them get on with it. Let the trial people get on with it. There you go. Good luck, Karen. We'll all be there watching. We'll all be there watching and cheering, Karen, if you get there. How about that? Must admit, I was looking forward to see Harley Quinn grow up and getting trained. There you go, Paul Jarvis. But
You will from Peter.
But you will from Peter, hopefully. And it will be interesting, won't it, to see when he decides to put the stop on him, and when he decides to put the obedience into him. And does he let that dog go another few months before doing it? The dog's nearly ready for putting the control into the dog, because he's got that extra drive and desire. Yeah, win Soul's test first, Kieran. That's it. You're going to win Soul's test. That's it. That's a benchmark. That's what you've got to do. Good luck, mate. It would be great to see someone from the group do well. Yeah, it would. It would be really good. And we have had people do really well. We had somebody here today, and they said they were talking about. Oh, I was talking to someone today, and they were talking about Dennis with Major, and how well he'd done. There you go. So there is people. There's plenty of people I've trained who've gone on to do well with dogs. Okay, I love the fact that you have I have you guys support me and help me greatly. So thank you to everyone for you. And hopefully, I'd like to say one day I'll be there. And when I think I'm ready, I'll be doing it with the dog. Yeah.
Named Upton.
Named Upton. Yeah. Uppo, get here. I was with a mate of mine at a trial, open trial, and he had a dog that he was mad on feeding it, and it was massive, and it was big, it was massive. And Openshaw said, "Hey Tony," he says, "do you want to sell that dog?" And Tony looked around and went, "Oh, he fancied me dog. He liked the run of the dog in his first run on the open stake." And he said, "Well, would you be interested, Tony?" Ian. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I could make a mint out of that dog." He says, how, Ian, how?" He says, "Giving it rides on Blackpool sands, giving kiddies rides on Blackpool sands." He says, "Are you sponsored by a dog food company?" And that's Ian's sense of humour. And, people around were just falling over and laughing. And Tony went, "Fuck off, Ian," because he fucking pulled him big time. So we've had some laughs over the years. We have. Kieran, got me 4x4. We'll train with you soon. There you go. Look, Peter Taylor. I will put up videos on his progress, and he will be going back down to Chris for 1-to-1. And hey, bollocking from me. There you go, eh? What goes round comes round. And the nice thing is, that dog's coming back with a retrieve because he wants more. And so he's not been forced to do that. He loves that game. Now that video may have been the video that sold that dog. I wasn't in no hurry to sell the dog. But Peter, like I say, made me an offer I can't refuse. Right? He tried to knock me down at one point, and I said, "Have I got a turban on my head?" Is that racist? No, it's not, is it? It's just a joke, isn't it? It's not racist. No, it's not racist. But that's the problem with these businessmen, these builders. Might be a stupid question, but do you have a book out, Chris? No, Andrew, could you all answer that for him? Are you all over your quid each tonight? Andrew, I say this nearly every week. I've been writing a book. It's been written for the last 20 years. I actually listened to someone the other day talking about them writing their book, and they said it's the hardest thing to do because you just want to keep changing it. And who was it who said it? He said he even looked at every phrase and went back over it again to see if he could change it to make it better. He wanted it to be the best book out there. The problem is, yeah, we're still waiting. There you go. He needs to get his finger out and publish. Because I'm dyslexic, the book was written in anger, the first volume, and I loved it. And I named people. And then when we went to the publishers, they said, "Fantastic, but guess what? You need to break it down. It's too big, and you need to cut the names out because we'll get done for copyright if you can't prove it all. So we have to proof it all and actually check the details to make sure it's right. But you're better off not putting names in there." Well, that just ripped the art out of it, because what happened to me in the trial world, I was disgusted about, because I was good, I was mad, I was keen for it, I loved it. It was my passion. It was my shop window to show the skill of my dog training, and the way I got treated with the corruption, and the way I got blackballed because I stood up to cheats. It's a fantastic story, but not everybody wants to read about what happened to me in the trialing world. They want dog training video, a dog training book. In the last 5.5 years, I've been concentrating on the videos for everyone, and still going back to the book, and it's been altered so many times, and it gives me a headache. But it is split into 2 volumes now, and we are getting somewhere with it. But it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and that, I think, is because I am dyslexic, and my mind runs, and I type and type and type, and then sometimes I go back and I go, "Oh, hang on, I got to break this down again. I can't even understand it myself." But in my head, it's going around, and I got to get it out on paper. But the problem is, then when you try and break it down and go over and check the spelling, so the publishers can proof it and read it, I'll say you're not going to be able to read what I write, because it's like foreign language. We've got dyslexia in it, so when I write from the mind, if I'm talking to a computer, it's different. but it still gets words wrong, and you go, why is that word in there? So that's what I'm saying. So you'll have to bear with me on that. But hopefully before I die, if this virus doesn't come back in and get us all, I will get the book out. But I've been so busy doing the videos. Once I add them 5,500 videos on YouTube, the amount of people have said it's such a shame those videos aren't on YouTube. But then if the videos were on YouTube, people might not have come into Patreon and at least give me an income for all the work I do. And so, Chris, has YouTube ever come back to you? We still got 2 people working on it for us. They are absolutely useless, Robert. Absolutely useless. I'd be happy even if I got 1,000 of the best ones back. But they're still trying our best. Evening, Chris. I'm picking up a cocker pup in a few weeks. Just wondering if you could have any effect on my 2-year-old cocker bitch by making more excitable or not. Impossible to say, Daniel Wallace. It depends on how level-headed and how balanced your cocker bitch is. If you've got a jealous cocker bitch and she wants to rule the nest, then she may do. But most of the time, when you've got a pup and you introduce a pup into a litter or into a pack or a group, before somebody freaking goes, there's no such thing as a pack, into a group, normally the dogs don't see that dog as a troublemaker or a threat. Once they grow up a little bit, they may challenge each other, 12 months old, or they may become best of friends. You can never tell. I don't have any fighting here. And yet I said only yesterday, I think, if Rafa turned on Harley Quinn now and went back off, stop trying to grab me like he is. He's actually took a scruff out of his back, of his hair out the back there, but he's just such a softie. And yet Rafa would stand up to a dog being dominant. And when I say dominant, I don't mean that Dougie is dominant and nasty, but Dougie comes across as dominant, and another dog goes, okay, bring it on, and it's head on, face to face, bring it on then. And that's where I have to step in and say to Rafa, leave it, and Rafa then breaks away because I'm in charge. But I have to say to Dougie as well, leave it, because at the end of the day, I don't want him being assertive to other dogs. And because he's a big dog and he's looking down at them all the time, he likes to stand there like I'm big and hard. But I guarantee if Rafa had a go at him, he'd turn him over. And yet Rafa is such a sweet-natured dog. But I'm going back to these cockers again. And a lot of you people love your cockers, and I understand your crazy your crazy bond for these dogs. But they think different than the Springers, without fail. They think different than the Springers. You don't very often. They've got that independent streak. They've got that doggedness about them. And like that old saying says, you can force a Springer to do it. You're going to make a cocker want to do it. I think there's nothing finer than that comment, because yes, you can knock them back, but they've got a character of their own. I mean, that bitch jumps on the fucking table in the conservatory, and she just climbs up on anything. She just loves to jump on things. Rafa's the same. They got that independent streak. Rafa goes, stroke me. She does the same. She pushes herself into you and says, stroke me. But if it doesn't suit her, she doesn't want to come near you. There you go. They have secret horns under their ears. I agree with you, Karen. And on the odd occasion, you get the most sweetest cocker you can imagine. A bit of bull wants to be your best friend, but they got that little naughty streak about them, and they got that determination streak. And I think you don't knock it out of them. You just tap into the best of it. Denver Singer, Chris, like your male pup with lots of liver markings on the back. Yeah, I think all the pups are sold. I'm pretty sure all the pups are sold. Definitely the dogs are sold, and I think I'm pretty sure. The problem is I got people sending me emails, Messenger, Patreon, about pups and that, and then someone said they wanted one, then they turned around and said they've had a change of heart. No problem, because I had enough people. If I get stuck with one, I get stuck with one, but I don't think I will. I think I got 2 people on the reserve list now, in case anyone pulls out. People say to me, why don't you breed more pups? I don't want to breed more pups because I enjoy training dogs and I enjoy training people. That's my passion. I breed because when I need litters, really, I need a litter. I need a pup out of a litter. Because I had Harley Quinn, I didn't decide to keep one out of this litter because people were asking me, and I hadn't bred for, I think, 16 months, 17 months, and at the most we have 2 litters a year, really, at the most. Reading Keith Ellenson's book, he reckoned cockers are the devil's creation. Yeah. Jack Davy, a panel judge down, he's died now. He was down here, and he used to live in Exeter. I went to a training seminar, a talk, and Jack Davy was the guest speaker, and I was asked to talk as well, and I did a talk there as well, and Jack Davy did a talk, and then my mate, he was into cockers big time, and hello Penny, how you doing? But it was hot out there with them dogs, wasn't it, at 6:30? And he was against cockers big time, and he said, there's no way on this earth would I have a cocker. I'd never have a cocker. He said, no way on this earth. And my mate Simon started getting a bit teasy and asking him why and all that. And then next minute, a year later, he's running 2 cockers. And he said, Jack Davy said as well, he was a shrewd sod, Jack was. He said, I don't know why you need a rabbit pen to train dogs in. And then one day he goes up there and he's at Openshaw's rabbit pen. He uses Openshaw's rabbit pen. I just couldn't stop laughing. I thought they tell you what they want to tell you. That's the problem. I have to ignore a bit about mine to get the best out of her. Yes, exactly. And not destroy her drive. And sometimes let her think she's doing what she wants. Exactly, Chris. That's exactly it with cockers. And you know what? It's like terriers. Terriers have got a mind of their own. Anybody who's been a good terrier man will know that you have got your hands cut out with terriers. They're independent. They got that stubborn streak. They're lovely, but they got that stubborn streak. And there's an old saying, isn't there? Put 3 terriers in a kennel together and you'll come back and one will be dead because 2 will set upon one. They're scrappers, aren't they? They're known to be scrappers. You know, it's in them. I've got 3. Hey, it was nice and cool. We had a nice breeze. Oh, lovely. We got no breeze down here at all. That was nice then. Lovely. Terrorists. Yeah, terrorists. Exactly. That's what they are, aren't they? We had a Cairn Terrier and she'd take on the biggest dog in the freaking field. She was mental. She was the biggest coward going, but she would take on the biggest dog in the field. But it was great for the kids to grow up with that dog. Little Cairn Terrier, that was. Not like a Jack Russell. Right, so anybody would like to ask any questions? Because there's not been many questions up here. I've been telling you what's been happening to me all week, but there's not many questions up here. Must be able to put something up here. Borders bitch likes to retrieve. There you go. Come on, then there must be questions. It's 53 minutes and 28 seconds. We've only had 50 people in here tonight. I reckon everyone's watching the football, aren't they? More important things. And only 16 thumbs up. I've been talking for nearly an hour non-stop, and 16 thumbs up. Honestly, some days I wonder why I do this for a living. RDS Corner, Chris, they have finally replied with a new form. I've emailed you for consent before I perform. Magic. Thank you very much indeed. And there you go. RDS is telling us something. Look, he's doing his best for us to try and get the videos back. So thank you very much indeed. That's one person who's helping us. And like I say, I've been waiting for some feedback, and we're not getting it. And it's just so demoralizing for all the videos we've had up there. But like I said, if the videos were up there, would I have had the success with my Patreon site that we've had, and would that group have formed? And at the end of the day, for a $5 a month, a lot of you seem to find it very interesting, where you can open your mind and talk without the worrying about other people coming in. But on here, look, it's funny, isn't it? We don't seem to get much crap on here anymore. They seem to have left us alone. Why? Because I fight back. And it's easy to say walk away and don't get involved in arguing with them. But at the end of the day, I think that's why the dog training world is such a mess, because people are not willing to say what they feel. People are getting turned over. Do you like a challenge, Chris? I do. Of course I do. Look who I took on. Dougie. Eh? Do I like a challenge? Eh? When can we see Dougie in the pen? There you go, Paul. Anytime you want. You want to pop down? You can see him in the pen tonight if you want. I've been happy about 9 o'clock tonight. I still have an heart attack. All I'm doing with Dougie in the pen at the moment is letting him chase. He's letting him hunt and chase. I can put up a video about it. I can show you, but I'm just letting him go in there, chase. When he pants like crazy, take him out. But he's not in there more than 10 minutes. But yeah, I can do a video if you really want to see one. Are all the shoots opening this year down south, Chris? I don't know. Some of them weren't, and then some of them had a second change of heart. There is some definitely running this year, and they're the ones who are obviously gonna fill up their books if they can get people there. It's crazy, isn't it? Outside shooting, you can stand away from each other, but have you seen that football? Have you seen them all kissing each other and grabbing each other? And the tennis player who's got the virus, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, yet you know, hairdressers can't freaking cut hair. It's an absolute joke. Patreon is fantastic. So got it all. Thank you very much indeed, Michael. That matters to me because at the end of the day, I didn't really want to go over, but it's sensible for me because it's earning me an income for putting up the videos and taking the time of sitting on the internet and doing it. When that weather changed and it was nice and cool, there was nothing finer than getting out there training dogs. Without being criticized. Exactly. And that's what it's about, Kieran. You know, you've seen me over the years having to stand my ground on my Facebook and stand my ground. But guess what? My Facebook isn't open to the world. It isn't open to the World Wide Web. It's open to 2,500 people who have asked to come in, and they're on my friends list. Not personal friends, but dog-like people. And they've seen what I've had to go through to stand up for what I believe in. And that's important to me. Well, when Sol gets his baby up and running, I thought you meant he's having a baby then for a second. And every dog trail is on. I'll pay your entrance fee. I'll pay you £50 for every challenge you compete with him, with your dog. Right. I do like a challenge. There you go. I think Karen's got far more chance of winning the championship. Jay, trust me, mate. Just it's not fair, really, is it? Because I keep saying to you, don't build your hopes up too much. And yet, I can see a difference in the dog. But it's like a freaking uphill battle. It's like going up a greasy ladder. You go up there and you think, yes, I'm getting somewhere. And then he knocks you straight back down to about here. And that, you're right. That's what it's about. It's about. But guess what? I feel guilty if I don't get that dog to a good standard for the money you're paying. Because you've asked me to do my best. I'm doing my best. But you can't rush him. But that video, it just shows, doesn't it? If I just left that video on and didn't show everybody the true Dougie, like I'm going to show them on Patreon, then people would go, that dog's changed completely. He's loving it. Yeah, it's because I edited it and just showed the bits where he was going well. And the idea is we show warts and all on Patreon. And that's important, isn't it? We all go wrong. All dogs go wrong. And we all make mistakes. But we're there as a nice group of people to help each other and can give constructive criticism, give your opinion without being rude. I don't want people to be rude to each other on that group. And you know, that one person's £5 a month is no problem for me just to press the delete button and go, we don't need you in the group. Not because I want to be a dictator. I want. Do you know what? It just shows how my dyslexic mind is, isn't it? It's like, who remembers Eddie Waring? Eddie Waring. Up and under, up and over. Who remembers Eddie Waring? Who Eddie Waring was? Do you remember? Anybody? No, I'm just too freaking old for you, aren't I? Does anybody understand who Eddie Waring was?
It's a knockout.
There you go. There you go. Oh yes, it's a knockout. Great commentator, yeah. And he used to do rugby and he used to do football and all that sort of stuff, didn't he? Rugby commentator, fantastic, wasn't he? Yeah. Right. So you know that what's the difference between a King Edward What is a King Edward potato and Eddie Waring got in common? Come on. We could give a squirrel skin for the winner.
Oh, I know it.
We could, couldn't we?
No, it's too easy.
It's too easy, Sue said. She says too easy. First person to come up with the answer. Come on. What is a... Bless him. Mash.
On the right line, put your
Nearly,
right
nearly, nearly. A King Edward potato and Eddie Waring got in common. They're both commentators. Commentators. Sorry.
They have the answer.
You nearly had it, you lot. Honestly.
They also great commentator.
Denver Skinner.
Potato.
Denver Skinner. Jay, I think Dougie is awesome. Love watching his videos. Jay, sell it to him. Sell it to him. Swap him for the Leadburn Labrador. Right? If it's that good, swap it. I'll turn the Leadburn Labrador into you can win the championship. Right? Damn it, I have a 12-month-old cocker spaniel. When at his own free will, hang on. Let's keep going up the screen. Everyone's typing. I have a 12-month-old cocker spaniel. When we are out walking, he's running off at his own free will. What advice would you give to get him interested in me and build a better bond? First thing I'd do, Dan Lawrence, is I'd put him on a long line. I'd have him on a long line. The freedom's got to come from me. Larry Crone said this the other day, and I've been using it so much because it's such a simple breakdown of a phrase, isn't it? The freedom's got to come from you. And if you give the dog too much freedom, the dog will take over. Yeah, Michael, how much would you take for Dougie? I think Dougie could make the grade. Jay, I'm trying to help you here, mate. I think Dougie could go all the way. He could win the Dougie Championship. He could win the Bacardi Spaniel Championship, eh? Hey, I need to come to you for a fortnight to train me. Exactly. But I will take Dougie. Oh, I will take Dougie. Honestly, Jay. Royal Ascot is his best hope. Yeah. But no, not Royal Ascot. He needs to go with the sticks. He needs the Grand National. Pretty long-legged bastard. But do you know what, Jay? No matter what, and no matter the standard we can get him, we're going to get him better without fail. But no matter what, he is a freaking character. He is a freaking character. Honestly, it reminds me of Scooby freaking Doo. I swear, he does. He looks at me, and did you see the keenness he's got? Did you see the keenness? And yet I'm now using discipline, where I wasn't using discipline before. I was just using fun-based training. I'm now using discipline. If you don't do it, you're going to get a negative. Avoid the negative. So he's getting better because I'm using the discipline, but at the right time. I'm bringing it in together at the right time. Dan Lawrence, no problem at all, Dan. Like I said, that's where I would do it. Is I would work the dog on the long line first and get the dog to listen to you on a long line. Funny enough, I was in the field with my head's gone. I was in the field with Darcy's owner, and I took the long line in the field because the dog wasn't listening at all. And I spent 10 minutes working the dog on the long line to see if she could respond very quick and how she would react. And by God, she was a different dog within 10 minutes on the long line. But she's not daft. She knows when she's on the long line. So we're going to have to use the e-collar on her. Now, instantly you go, e-collar on that little thing, on that little soft thing. And some people say, well, you don't know how to train a dog if you're using an e-collar. Load of bollocks. Load of bollocks. We use it on such low stim. That dog will think, how the friggin' hell did you change? How did you get that result from there? Because we teach the dog that it's a positive, not a negative to begin with. There's something at the end of it if you come back to me. Then we can use it as a negative once we've taught the behavior with the long line first. And that's what we've done. We've taught the long line. She knows what come here means, so we can move forward quicker than somebody who doesn't know what come here means, hasn't been on a long line. And we're going to tap into getting that right and then taking the collar off and putting it away and using that bond between me and the dog. The punishment's got to come from me. She sees me as the leader then rather than the feeder, or she sees me as the leader rather than her bitch, and that's what she's doing. She is so spoiled, and you know, I'm honest, and the owner knows I'm honest, and we're not mentioning who the owner is, but the owner will watch this and he'll say, I understand his honesty straight away. That's not to rubbish the owner. That's to show that a dog that's given so much love and attention in the house takes over. And that's why emotions can't come into this shit when you're training dogs. You cannot bring emotion into this shit. That doesn't mean you haven't got emotions. That don't mean you think, why did you do that? Why do you need to do that? Why can't you just do it through gameplay? But we don't I don't punish in anger. I've never punished in anger because I'm a big lad, and if I punished in anger, I could hurt a dog, and I'm not willing to do that. Neutral, always logic. Always logic. Yes, exactly. There you go, Gavin. That's my dog, knows it's on the long line and won't go wrong. But the thing is, Gavin, if you train the dog on the long line and make it fun, then the long line is not seen as a tool that is restraining it. It's seen as a tool that makes it can't wait to put the long line on. This is the difference. Oliver Swift, not Oliver Twist. Oliver Swift. Sorry, my dyslexic brain again. Chris, if you were on the lookout for a new puppy for your kennel, what bloodlines would you go for? Field trial champion lines or a working line? Well, the problem with the working line, unless you've seen the dog work, for instance, Harley, that's Jess's dog that Alan Chadwick had. The breeding on that side of that bitch isn't, both sides, is not particularly strong. So that's a working line. They saw it work. They were interested in that. They used that, and she turned out fantastic and a quick learner as well. But she was running the show, and she'd been to a trainer that was training the dog, and they weren't getting very far because when I had her, she was pushing all boundaries, and yet she came to me, I think about 12 months of age, and Alan said it was a no-brainer, and I thoroughly enjoyed training her. But she was headstrong. And I like a headstrong dog. And I think sometimes if you breed for sense and sensibility and you breed for temperament, sometimes those lines are softer these days with the trial lines. And sometimes they don't need and they can't cope with pressure like some of the older lines. And some of those old working lines were stronger genetics in some ways than some of the field champions. But I agree with what Ian Openshaw says. If you're going to buy a pup, you might as well buy the best of the best you can afford. Right? Unless you see something in it you like. And that's where it makes it easier for Peter to go, I like that dog. I like what I see. I want him. Where at 8 weeks old, you might like the look of him, but would you want him? You're just taking a chance. But now you're seeing some potential in him, and you're seeing how he's wanting to be with me because I'm making him want to be with me rather than force him to be with me. Mine are line-wise. Denver Skinner, see?
Yeah, because terrorists ask, do they get line-wise?
Do they get line-wise? They do if you don't know how to use the line, the long line properly. But the thing is, like I just said to you, if you make it fun, if you make it a positive on the long line, but you use your discipline through the long line because you teach to turn off the pressure, the dog will automatically turn off the pressure and make the choice itself. Anybody can pull a dog in, like he's on a jet ski, and you're yanking him in, pulling him in. But the idea is you've got to get the dog to want to play the game. But the long line is fantastic because what you do, when you tell the dog to sit, and the dog sits and he knows what sit is, and you throw out the dummy and he hits the end of the long line, he'll turn that pressure off and learn to sit without you coming down heavy on the dog in a nasty way. I've come up with this way of training because a lot of you people wouldn't be willing to do what a lot of us old school used to train like. Don't tell me it doesn't work, because it does work. But we've moved forward with our training. That's where people like Rob Elaine, pet dog trainer, who I had a fallout with because of his silly comments on the live feed, is so far back in his mindset that he's still using rattle cans and rattle bottles. They work, but he's still using them. We've moved forward. And those people have seen e-collars used in a barbaric way, instantly, because of the feedback of people have used them in barbaric way, the same as you could say that some of the Keeler methods are very harsh in leash correction, but you can't say they don't work. But we've learned to master it in a fine paintbrush, like fine art. But some of us have moved forward with the times, as well as we've had the information from the past. And the better trainers are the people who can train without the tools, but they can use the tools as fine tuning instruments. And that's the best way I can explain about an e-collar. Don't get me wrong. If I got to turn it up, I'll turn it up if I got a dog. But first I'm going to teach the behavior without the e-collar. Then I'm going to teach it with the long line so it knows the commands. Then I'm going to add the e-collar to it to strengthen it. And then at a distance, the dog can go, bloody hell, you didn't have to chase me. You didn't have to run after me. You didn't have to grab me. What would we have to do years ago? Get after the dog. Simple as that. Get after that dog. And I still use that method for some dogs for certain situations. Do I believe that every dog needs an e-collar? No way on this earth. But that's my opinion. And my opinion isn't the same as everybody else. Some people say you don't need an e-collar. You shouldn't be training with an e-collar. You don't know what you're doing if you use an e-collar. I disagree. It's a fine instrument. It's a fine tuning instrument. And if used the way we show you, I've had nothing but positive feedback through that, except for the few idiots, because they've seen that and seen a difference in a change in the dog. And that's why I'm going to use the e-collar on the little cocker, even though the person watching and his missus and his daughters may watch this and think, oh no, that's not acceptable, I don't want that. If they tell me they don't want it, I won't use it. But I can use it in such a fine way and fine tune that dog. It'll make that dog's life so much easier and teach that dog that I've got control on a magic lead, a magic leash. But first you've got to teach the leash behaviors, and that's what it's about. Message deleted by Karen Evans. View deleted message. Let me just can you please watch Johnny's School Days and reach out in my dad's channel? I would appreciate your support. Thanks a lot. Johnny's School Days by Richard Carr. Look at that. Right, well done. This is a dog training site. We're trying to get into dog training. Anyway, you've had 1 minute. You've had 1 hour, 12 minutes. I mean, and there's me still rambling. It's just pressure communication from a distance. Exactly, Pen. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you go to. You can listen to them as much as you like. I like a bit of magic. So do I. So do I. That's why Ken Dodd had a tickling stick.
Denver's question.
They're trying to ban the Diddy men, aren't they? Because he abused them. They're trying to take Ken Dodd's statue down because he abused the Diddy men. He was slaves from Knotty Ash. Okay. Denver.
2105.
Mine are line wise.
No.
Denver Skinner. Chris, can you see my question 2105? Come on then. Come on, Susan. Chris, my black lab is retrieving obsessed. She is 10 months old. Do you think I could put the stop on her? Well, if she's retrieving obsessed, yes. Put the control in her. Put the control in her. 10 months old. There you go. So when you say bloodlines, Oliver Swift, I would go for the thing is, I know a lot of good dogs that are champions because they deserve to be champions, and I know a number of champions who shouldn't be champions, but they are used a lot because of the people who made them up, and they're not throwing particularly good stuff. What we look for as guys who talk to each other in private, we're looking for dogs that have come out of them lines and proven themselves. And if you've got a field trial champion and it's run by a film star, and 3,000 people are using it, then the chances of having something decent out of it is far greater than having a field trial champion that 40 people have used. And the odds of percentages in the right hands, those dogs will make it. I mean, Clobber Art was a fine example. So many people used Art, and Art threw so many good dogs. But why? Of who was running it, who owned it. Okay. Good chatting, Ton. Thanks for tonight. So Any more questions before we go? And that's your lot then.
Michael McLaughlin said, in fairness to Dougie, he has been class entertainment over lockdown. Hats off, Jake. Nice dog. He was the star of the lockdown.
I agree with you, Michael, and that's nice of you. And at the end of the day, I'll take my hat off for Dougie, giving him every chance. And like I say, I'm not pushing him aside and saying no, he's not going to make it. I'm saying he's very young, he's very immature. He's like I was when I was 13. Look at me now, shining example of sense and sensibility. Anyway, you lot, fuck off. Oh no, bollocks. Sorry, she's not even brought me a gin and tonic. I've just had to pen. Look, no ice in there. Look, it's freaking hot. I mean, you really need ice with your gin and tonic this time of night, don't you? Sit there, a nice gin and tonic, Pen. Not the whiskey. Can't afford whiskey. Not until Harley Quinn's been picked up. Oh no, he's paid me. So bollocks to you all tonight. Thanks for tuning in. 42 people in here. Not been that many people. I'm sorry it might not have been as entertaining as it normally is. But never mind. Life's a bitch and then you die. How about that? Did you like me joke about Eddie Wearing? None of you laughed. None of you laughed, but never mind. Good night. Bollocks to you all. Cheers. Chris Upton signing off.
See you tomorrow. Get the kettle on for around 11. Bollocks.